Good evening and salutations, my YNR fans. I don't even know how to describe this episode, and I'm trying not to be mean. I know a lot of people really love the soap opera. They've been watching it for years, and when I see episodes like this, it just makes me think, why? This show has a great cast, and it seems like all the actors really put in their best. It seems like most of the actors put in their best foot moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Like they really give it their all. But you have episodes like this where it's just incredibly unbalanced. You have a great, interesting, and suspenseful storyline with, Victor and Nick and Nate and Ashlyn and Victoria. And then you have, I don't even know what to call this, with Noah, and I guess the girl's name is Cindy. Now, I was reading some of the comments before I started watching the episode. While I was at work because I was sitting kind of, I don't exactly remember why I was reading the comments, but they were really going in on this girl, and I kept sitting there thinking, man, she can't be that bad. She can't be that bad. Well, she already, the way she was acting, here's the thing, people was into saying like she's a bad actress. No, she wasn't a bad actress. She was just a really terrible character. Let me just sit there and put it this way. Not every person that does content creating, um, I hate saying this word, a social media influencer, it sounds so pretentious. I never want to call myself that, but my point is not everyone who does social media acts like that. And she is a really bad example of like she does not represent everyone else that does this. She was talking to, I guess, Noah's mom, Sharon. You know, because Sharon was like, "Oh, well, did you go to the same school and stuff like that, or major in the same college or whatever?" And she was like, no, school really isn't my thing, but my passion, what I really want to sit there and do is be a social media influencer. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? So right then and there, my opinion of her just dropped to negative. Okay? Just dropped to negative. You meet his mom for the first time, and she wants to then kind of know like what you're about. And this is what comes out of this idiot's mouth. I want to be a social media influencer. On top of that, it was just like the way she was sitting there talking about Noah to her mom. Like his mom doesn't want to sit there and know about how her son is sexy and has really great eyes and all this, that, and the third. I'm like, could you be any more annoying if you tried? And oh yes, she did try, and she did succeed. After talking to her sister about how she, wants to be a social media influencer, which okay, she's talking to her, and she sees Tess. And granted, she's in the middle of talking to her, and she just that's it. Like she calls out Tess. She turns around, she calls out Tess. I was like, you're literally in the middle of talking to his sister, and you just ignored her like she meant absolutely nothing to go gaga over Tess. Um, it just really came across as one of those deranged fans. Um, and then Mariah came downstairs afterwards, like, "Oh, Mariah, da, 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 I know so much about you." Da, 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 da. I'm like, I was like, those scenes were so painful to sit there and watch. It was so painful to watch. Um, by the way, and again, I just love how she was like, "Oh, I want to be a social media influencer," and I was like, "There's so many things that can. I mean, granted, there's so many things that can go wrong with most career paths." And although I love what I do, and I'm surprised by it every day, um, because I didn't sit there and think that this was going to be something I was going to actually enjoy doing, or like doing, or maybe even halfway decent at doing. Um, one minute, it's. I was just sit there and say it this way. Now, being a social, I hate saying this word, being a social media influencer or being an influencer. One minute you're hot, the next minute you're not. One minute you're on top of the world, next minute something comes up from your past and you are done. Or not. Look up EDP 445 and you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's to sit there and say, that's what I want to sit there and aspire up to be. And then when that doesn't work out, then what? I guess you're just kind of screwed at that point. Um, I'm not saying don't shoot for the stars because I enjoy what I'm doing and I'm gonna keep doing it. But I'm not gonna sit there and put everything into just being a influencer. Oh, I hate that word. Um, so Chase and Abby. You know, I really feel like Abby needs to kind of take a step back and need this. I get that she wants to support her husband and be there and be whatever, but like you need to kind of when he was like you need to kind of I just need a little bit of space and a little bit of time to sit there and process this. This is something I felt like Abby was not really doing. Like she kept them to ask, like, "Well, how did it go? How do you feel? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want this?" It's like, can you just give him like take a step back? Um, but eventually they do want to talk. I mean, granted, again, she's just a little bit too much in his face about something that he's trying to work through. Um, anyway, they talk more about his experiencing, his experience, um, how the process is going, and at some point they wound up sleeping together. So I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really go much of anywhere. I mean, here's the thing: I've been watching this show that long. I feel like I kind of caught up for the most part about his experience, the PTSD, the survivor's guilt, and he's pretty much just kind of more or less talking about that. So yeah. So Nick meets up with Nate, and long story short, they get into the conversation about Aslan and his miracle cure, and pretty much Nick's like, "Yo, I don't know if he actually got cured because I don't know if he was ever sick in the first place." So they start talking more about Aslan, and of course Victor just kind of comes out the shadows like Batman, and eventually, well, they talk there first. So I don't exactly remember what place they're at, but Victor's like, "Yo, listen, Aslan isn't who he seems like he is," and he pretty much kind of tells him, he pretty much kind of says the same thing. Yo, he's faking it. He's been faking this cancer thing for ever. Um, and, there's one point where Nate's like, well, "Why would you sit there and fake it for?" I'm like, think about it for a minute, bro. I mean, I know I get the fact that plot over logic and stuff like that, but it's like, why would somebody fake? You gotta sit there and think. Why would somebody sit there and fake something like that unless they got something so big to sit there and gain? And then they just merge this company with somebody else's company. Don't you think that would be a reason to sit there and fake a disease? So they bring him back over to the office, and they show him the proof. I guess the testimony with the two doctors. But at that point, look at that, and I'm like, that's not proof. I mean, Victor, for everyone, Victor could have practically paid those two to sit there and say that stuff. That's not proof. And Nate was like, well, between all the doctors that actually signed off on this and how much of a big conspiracy theory this all seems so far, what other proof do you have? And Victor's like, well, we don't really have much, but I'm like, again, I've said how stupid this whole thing was. That Victor, who has been in this game for a while, does not seem like he was the type to make a rookie mistake like that. Um, is like you're coming there with nothing really. You came there with two guys and just saying that he's not sick. That's not proof, bro. Like that's not proof. Um, but they do sit there and say, well, listen, Nate, we need your help. You know, um, as far as trying to find out about Ashley and stuff like that to save Victor. I mean, to save Victoria, to sit there and save the company. You've been a family friend of ours for years. You're gonna sit there and help us out. And Nate has a hard time believing that. Not just the fact that he was like, oh, I was there and I saw a lot of the symptoms and stuff like that, but just the simple fact that they're friends. But Victor pointed out that like, yo, listen, this guy's going to invite you to his wedding and he barely knows you. You don't think that's kind of odd? But hey, on the plus side, he got a friend that also happens to be a doctor. Yeah, when you think about it hard enough, it's gonna make sense. Um, Now, of course, Ashlyn is pretty much telling Victoria to more or less fight his battles. Oh, Victor's not there trying to threaten me. He gave me a countdown to me leaving town, and I told him to do his worst, and it's just gearing Victoria up to attack her father, to attack her family because reasons. Honestly, to tell you the truth, and in honor of Women's Day, I am not going to sit there and be calling her the selective names that well, that I feel like Snither said. Long story short, she gets angry and she goes down to Victor's office, or she goes, yeah, I guess Victor's office or whatever. And she goes in there, she's all mad. She's like, "You done crossed the line for the last time," and she just like she walks in there all raging, pissed off, like she's just ready to just lash out at her whole family. And I do not understand Nick's devotion to her. I really don't. I felt like, after the whole wedding thing, like for me personally, I'm like, yo, listen, we may be blood, but that's pretty much about it. He's so concerned about what it's gonna do for Victoria and stuff like that. And I get it. He's trying to, he's trying to be a good guy. He wants to sit there and help out his sister and really kind of take care of her. Um, I mean, if you want to sit there and call it pettiness, whatever you want to call it, I don't think that I would be sitting there batting that hard for somebody who came at me sideways for me trying to help them out the first time. I just don't see that happening. I feel like that's about it. And I think that's what I meant by, like I said, about the unbalance of this show sometimes. Um, Chase and Abby's storyline was somewhat interesting. Oh, and I almost forgot the other part of this episode. Mariah and Tess talking to Faith, and Faith sitting there asking questions about, long distance relationships and relationships, and if it's going to work, and how do you know, when you find, when you, like, how do you know that you're in love, and this, that, and the third. Just sitting there just watching this whole thing, and I'm like, from a soap opera standpoint, I understand that, um, I guess it seems like a nice topic about love and stuff like that, especially since we are watching soap opera. But honestly, to tell you the truth, I was bored to tears. I literally sat there watching the scene like this. I was like, I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. I know she was in there talking about stuff to um about her relationship status with Moses and everything like that. I'm like, I just don't care. Oh my goodness. Um, and the sad part, that wasn't even the worst part of this episode. That was probably the second worst part of this episode was the whole Mariah test and Faith thing. Because to be honest, I really don't care for all three of them. I don't think that they're bad characters or that they're characters that annoy me, but like the scene just made me not care. Um, and the whole scene with Cindy was like, oh my goodness, who? It was somebody on crack when they decided to sit there and say, "Hey, how about we get this woman, this new girl for Chase, this new girl for Noah, and just have her to be super annoying and like the worst version of a millennial that you can sit there and find. Yeah, let's do that." Yep. I would like to sit there and hope that Noah, because, he was sitting there talking to his mom, like, I'm sitting there dating around or whatever. I was like, I hope that she comes and goes and that they find someone that's less annoying than her. But somehow I feel that because that's what I want, soap opera's going to do the exact opposite. And, well, give me more of that annoying woman that, yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I think that's going to do it. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know your thoughts on in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.